I had Wolfgang in the comments ask me to watch one of his gameplay videos and give him some critique as he tries to win the game on Deity. So I'm going to do that. Before we get the video started, I just want to say there are lots of different ways to play Civilization, and there's not one right way to get a victory type at any given level. Deity is very unforgiving, so you have less opportunity to make mistakes. But understand the advice that I'm going to give him is based on my experience in playing the game, my Deity wins, and how I would play the game. There might be more context later on that I won't actually cover in this video just because I've only got so many turns that he shared with me. So with that, let's go ahead and get into it and see how he set up the game, and we will go through, I think he said he made it to only 22 turns before he got wiped out. So let's go ahead and see how this goes. So he's picking Frederick of Germany. Great all around for lots of different victory types. And map, he picked Pangea. Tiny size, which means it'll be 4 civs total. Checking Barbarians off. Okay, and everything else was set default. You know, right there, I would say I get why people turn Barbarians off, but let me pause this gameplay video and pontificate a bit on Barbarians off. Barbarians are a love-hate thing. There's benefit to keeping Barbarians on in that they're a great source of early game gold. In addition, they're a great source of early game leveling your units. So getting those unit promotions makes your units significantly tougher, especially the early units. When you talk about a +5 attack to a slinger, that's a big deal. And so barbarians give you an opportunity to take your army out and start to level it before you have any combat with any other civilizations. Additionally, those barbarians can be a hindrance on the AI civilizations because those barbarians are going to go trash their towns, they're going to attack their armies, and so there is a benefit in keeping you a little bit safer from the other AIs if you have barbarians in play. So that would be the first feedback I would give you as you're trying to really step forward and move up in your game is think about playing with the barbarians on. I know they can be a pain in the butt sometimes, but you can counter them fairly easily. And in my opinion, the pros far outweigh the cons of having barbarians in the game. So now the ever important where do we build question after we get through the save here. Go, go, go. Okay, so looking at what we can see here, it's okay. I don't see anything great. So what I'm looking for in a start location is really focused on food and somewhat focused on production for that first city. And I want to see at least 4 food plus production on at least 3 tiles in the starting circle of hexes, and you don't have that here. You've got a couple of two food, 2 production tiles that are scattered up north. You've got bananas far east and far west, and you've got the diamonds. You know, I would say this is a pretty tough start on Deity. Now I am one to, I usually roll with what I'm given, so I would go ahead and play this personally. Looks like you're gonna do the same here, so kudos to you if that's the decision that you make. um, I wouldn't look at you negatively if you decided to re-roll this start either, because it's not great. Given what we can see here, uh, Man, I would move probably to those diamonds, hoping that I uncover something great um, in the unseen area down below. Um, it's a little bit of a gamble. You might get nothing, but that's how I would have done it. I don't think what you did is terrible either. Settling in place for the start that you were given, because you've got diamonds one tile away. Those are easily obtained with mining, and then you're one spot away from the bananas there that you uncovered, so that's good. And then you've got the two tiles to the north, and then one to the northwest with the stone on it. So not a terrible decision that you made to settle in place. I like Slinger for the first build also, on Deity in particular, because everybody's got so much more military than you at the start. You've got to have some early defense. I know that people are going to disagree with that. There's a lot of people that love scout first, but I like Slinger first because it's going to help you get a Eureka. And this is where, again, Barbarians come into play. If you had Barbarians in, you could easily go out and get a Eureka with a Slinger. That's going to give you the additional science for archery. You can't do that without Barbarians, without going to war. So that will make development of archery take longer. By not having the Barbarians in the game. Moving out. I mean, some of this stuff might seem relatively minor, but I'm gonna throw out some things anyway, and really just, take it or leave it. If this makes sense to you, great. If you've got other things in mind, since I didn't get the audio, understand you had some issues with that. No big deal, but I'm not quite sure what you're thinking, and so some of this commentary might be like, oh well, that doesn't help me the way I was thinking. I like to explore in a circle closer to my city, because I'm looking for one, Goodie Huts, which you just found, but also I'm looking for, one of the priorities is, where's my second city going to go? And I'm going to make sure to find the absolute best place to place that second city. So I want to start covering all the way around my first city, or uncovering all the way around my first city, so I can put that second city in the absolute best spot. Now, one thing on that interaction, as I come back to that you just did, you sent your delegation. I understand the benefits to that from a diplomacy. Let me pause here, because I can't keep up with what things are going on, and I might just move back just a bit here. You went ahead, and I'm just backing up the video to make sure. Yeah, you sent the delegation, so now you've lost 25 gold. With that delegation, you just get limited access level, and so that's, in the early stage of the game, I'd rather have 25 gold than additional access to have that limited access to that civilization. Especially, I mean, I get this as a small map, so you've only got 3 of those potentially to pay out. But still, if you did that every time, that's 75 gold. Now you're talking about, you can either upgrade or come close to buying a unit with that amount of money. And so I would not have sent that delegation out immediately. I would have waited on that personally. Another question here, you've got a Goodie Hut right there. Why would you not take that? The AI is very aggressive in getting Goodie Huts once they've uncovered them. And so by moving away from it, I'm not sure why you did that. I would question that. Again, maybe you had some commentary that you gave, and you had a reason for skipping that, but always grab the Goodie Hut. That's potentially a builder. That's potentially a scout. That's potentially a pop to your city. I would never leave a Goodie Hut, especially when you're right next to it, without a very good reason. And I don't see any reason here why you would move away from that without just getting it. Okay, and then there also, you don't know if this warrior is going for that Goodie Hut or not at this point. And so with the Goodie Hut right there, I would have moved south to try and grab that Goodie Hut, not assuming that this warrior was going to try and take it. Um, okay with the tech choices, mining because you have both the stone and the diamonds right there. Animal husbandry next is a good choice in my opinion. Meeting a city state here, which is good, although you didn't get that initial envoy because I would assume Egypt already met them. Galapagos is good. You got a builder unit out of that Goodie Hut, which is great because now you don't have to build a builder to get your diamonds. Looks like there's a great potential city spot up there next to Brussels ish, maybe, depending on what else is around there. You can't be ideally right on that river because it's only 2 west of Brussels, but maybe one more up in the corner. You get next to the deer. Oh, that's a great spot. Now, the other thing I'm thinking about at this point in the game is you've met Egypt, but you don't know where Egypt's cities are. And so I think you're doing this, but I'm looking for that second city spot as a priority, finding that best city spot. And then as a secondary, I'm also trying to figure out where is Egypt in relation to me and my capital. Making sure you're working the tile. And oh, hold on, go back just a second. It looks like, did I see that right? Are you working the 2 food? I guess that's so all these others are 1 foods. Yeah, see, this goes back to this is a really tough start because you've got 2 food, no production, 2 food, 1 production, and then 2 food, 2 production. And while the gold is great, I would say early on, it is not the priority from a city yield perspective. You think about if this was slightly different, you would have 2 food, 2 production on all 3 of these tiles, ideally. And so, what does that mean? That means you're 3 production short of what ideal is at this point. And again, I realize you played the start that you got, and that's great. But just know, like, you're trying to overcome that deficit as well. You should be more at the 8 production here if you would have got a better start. And that's really playing against you in this situation. Again, I don't fault you for playing what you got. I think that's admirable. I think that's great. Um, and there's a great use of that gold right there. So you think about what has spending that 25 gold on the delegation to Egypt done for you versus you could have bought that tile 5 turns sooner. What would have been better? Buying that tile 5 turns sooner and getting that additional production would have given you better results than paying for the delegation to go to Egypt to get that limited visibility buff. Potential interesting spots out there too for a city, although that's pretty far away from your or from your first city. Looks like you found Egypt there, which is good also. Um, builder at or settler at 2. I get why you did that. Let me pause it here as well. A settler at 2 is a little bit difficult. So I'm trying to move the map back down so we can see. Let me come back here. Because you're in that situation where you don't you don't have great food choices. You have no +3 food tiles. And going back to when you bought this one, given this setup, I probably would have bought the banana instead for the extra food to get a little bit more city growth faster. Remember, your city size, just by being a higher level, gives you more science and more culture just by being a higher level. You don't have to build anything to get that. So city growth is very important in the early game because it by itself gives you more science and more culture, and you're going to be able to work more tiles. So given the choice between 3 food, 1 production and 2 food, 2 production, I'm going to take 3 food and 1 production first, because that's going to get you this additional tile faster, because your city's going to grow faster, which is going to give you more production sooner. Okay, does that make sense? So going back on that decision, yeah, I would have bought the bananas first, and then that would allow your city to grow faster. I probably would have built a 3rd scout here as well. That gives you your 3 scouts so that when you do get archery, you'll be able to upgrade those, and then that's going to give you the Eureka so that you can get crossbows faster as well. So that's I would have done that a little bit differently here than what you did. Still looking around, which is good. Again, I would be focused. If you look down here, I'd be trying to uncover this, and I'd be trying to uncover south of your city. Looking at the little mini map there, just to see, is there a better location for my second city? Now I'm going to pause here just because I don't know what else is coming, and let's talk about these. Military policies, you did the only thing you could, which is grab both of them, because Germany gets that extra military card, which is great. I would question this decision on the economic policies, and reason being, the only reason I would ever put God King in is if I feel like there's an opportunity to get that settler from the Pantheon. And at this point, and especially on Deity, you've got no bonuses. You haven't picked up a relic. You haven't met any religious city states that would start to build your faith already. So with +1 faith, there is absolutely 0 chance on Deity that you're going to be able to snag that settler unit, in which case +1 production is more meaningful at this point in the game than 1 faith and 1 gold, especially if you're not going for a religious victory. We haven't talked about that yet, but 1 faith and 1 gold at this point in the game is not going to do as much for you as an additional production. You think about, in your city, you had 5.2 production. So a +1 production to that city, that's a 20% increase in production for that city. That means you're going to build things 20% faster by putting this card in place than by this card. How many turns do you need for +1 gold to really make a difference in the things that you're producing? I would have gone with the production card in this case. That's good. Moving into the city while the borders are not yet really established. That's do the scouting while you can to understand their city placement. Foreign trade, that's the pick I would have made as well. Allowing you to establish a trade route, which is important in getting your gold rolling sooner rather than later. Move to the Goodie Hut. That's a good call. As soon as you saw that, you could consider even grabbing that with the builder, and keep your scout or your slinger moving on, continuing to uncover the map. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Let me pause right here. So, um, this this is a giant red flag from the AI. When you've got four warriors this close together and this close to your border, I'm bringing people back in and figuring out my defense. They are most likely moving towards you. You should be bringing people back home, knowing that you're probably going to have to defend against at least four warriors. And with this being a landlocked city with no walls, the city will die very quickly, especially if they put siege on the city so that it can't heal itself um, in between turns there. So you see something like this, as soon as you see that, prepare to defend. You can also consider, and maybe you'll do this, but you could consider trying to befriend whatever civ is in front of you a little bit more, and try and improve that relationship to deter a war. Although, from my experience, once the AI has decided they're going to attack you, there's not a lot you can do to get them to reverse course on that within a couple of turns. So, if nothing else, I would be planning for war right now, bringing the bringing the slingers in and trying to beeline this warrior down as well. The other thing I would do is I would at this point for sure swap out production to another military unit, because this just makes me way too uneasy that they've got all these warriors just concentrated right here on your border. They're planning for an attack. And the other thing to do at that point, in the same spirit, is that workers getting moved back into the city. I wouldn't waste the production anywhere in what you have available, and with all those warriors there, I'd move him into the city to make sure he was okay. Let me just pause here and go back to this. So you picked writing. Um, One thing to think about here, and I'm just kind of thinking through what your map looked like and what resources are around. I don't think you had a resource that you could put a farm on. So you're not going to get the Eureka for irrigation anytime soon, but you do have those bananas, which you need irrigation in order to improve those bananas. So this is something to think about here. Um, Writing, you have to think about, well, you've got to line everything up for you to be able to build a campus. You don't have a great campus spot in that first city. Uh, I don't even think you had any mountains around there. Let's see where we're at. We're at 1142. So if we go back and just look, you don't really have a good campus spot anywhere around here. And so when you think about that, the best you're going to get, this would be a +1 campus here because you've got jungle. You might be able to get a +2 campus. We can't see what's around if you chop there and put it there. But at best, you're going to get a +2 campus at this city. And so for me at this point, writing is not the priority because you can't do anything. What would it take? You'd have to build your second city and then maybe buy tiles even, and chop some things. Like you're still several turns away from being able to use writing to build a campus. What is more pressing is that irrigation, because you're only one tile away from a 3-1 production that you could then improve with irrigation. And they're a little bit further away, but you've got bananas in reach here, you've got bananas in reach here, you've got bananas in reach here. So to me, that's the bigger priority, because you can get to that sooner rather than later with, so what, you unlock writing, what are you going to do with that anyway? I don't see anything here that is going to give you the benefit of having writing. You could also consider going to masonry, which is going to give you walls, which is going to help you defend better against attacks. So that would have been the other thing that I would have considered. I would have also, at this point in the game, I would have had the 3 slingers built, and I would be looking for archery as a way to significantly boost my ability to defend, which is, I would probably would have gone archery next. I would have gotten the Eureka from killing a barbarian, so that would have helped this come along faster. I would have done archery next, and then I would have gone into either masonry or irrigation, depending on what was happening. Yeah, I'm guessing you're looking at buying another tile. I don't think there's real value in you doing that at that point. Doesn't look like you did it, but um, I would have bought the bananas as soon as I could have, and then let yourself naturally get the mines. Yeah, they're attacking you 100%. Like you see that movement towards your border, you know there that the AI does not do that when they plan on just walking you by. So it looks like you're calling your troops home now. So maybe a turn or two late, but you're at least doing it now. And then that's it. You get attacked. Yeah, and at this point, it's really tough. You're facing 5 warriors and a scout that are right there in that area. So they're going to be able to easily put the city under siege. You've got a little bit of a break because of the river, which means they've got to use at least 3 units to siege the city. They're going to have, at least from this point, 2 units that are going to attack across the river. So that's a little bit positive. But of course now, and you see building that settler, I'll pause here for a second. Building that settler doesn't help you. Because now it's trapped. So you can't even go settle your next city because that unit is trapped in here. And don't be afraid to change your game. If you see something that is happening that is not according to your plan, so go back to 2 or 3 turns ago when you could see the units up top and they were hinting at maybe they're moving in your direction. and you're 3 turns away from getting that settler done, don't be afraid to switch and say, oh, wait, I'm going to get attacked in a couple of turns. Getting this settler out 3 turns from now, my city's going to be surrounded. You have to start using that intuition of, it's very similar to chess. It's not just what's happening this move or what's happening next move. You need to be thinking 3 or 4 moves ahead and what might be happening and how do I need to change in order to meet what I think the game conditions are going to be 3 or 4 turns from now. So even if you would have, started with the settler, but then switched 3 turns ago, you'd be much closer to getting out something that will be useful for you in the situation that you now find yourself in. Hey, that was a good call on the attack. Attack the guys that are strongest and not burdened by the river, because that river is a penalty to these guys attacking. So good call on attacking to the west there and doing some damage to that full health unit there. Okay, so they have your city under siege now, so you're not going to get heals, which is unfortunate but expected. Continuing to attack across the river, which is helpful for you. Okay, what do you do here? So, okay, that's the right move on the slinger, putting the slinger in position to be attacked. Okay, let me stop there. So 2 things wrong with that attack there. 1, you're attacking over a river. Okay, so you're going to take a combat penalty there. You're going to do less damage. You're going to take more damage by attacking over that river. 2, the AI is dumb, and remember that, and you have to use that to your advantage. So without attacking them, these 2 units were going to attack you on the next turn anyway. Okay, so what you should have done is fortified this unit, which would give him a defensive buff. And at best, the AI is going to attack you with this guy here, and you're going to be fortified, so you're going to have the advantage. You're going to take less damage and do more damage to him. This unit, full health, probably would attack this this slinger on the next turn, and so your guys would have been in pretty good shape. Now you're going to end up losing like half your health here, and they're going to be in position to kill that warrior on the next turn. See, they will typically attack units outside the city before they focus on the city themselves. So good call there. That was the right attack to do that significant damage to those guys. Not much else you can do here. So see, they attacked you, and because you made that first attack, now your guy's dead. If he was fortified, or almost dead, if he was fortified, he'd be a lot stronger, and you would have healed on that turn. And so you've created a significant disadvantage for yourself up here by attacking across that river. And that does it for us. So yeah. So ultimately it didn't impact your game what you did up here. You would have lost the city anyway. So yeah, ultimately it didn't affect you, but those are some of the things you want to look out for in the future. And maybe at this point, again, without the audio, maybe you knew you were going to lose at that point and you just decided to attack. But yeah, something to think about differently is how you did that. You know, overall, I gotta say kudos to you for playing the start you were given. I love that, and I do that 98% of the time. It's got to be a really horrendous start for me to not just go with what I'm given. I see it as a challenge. I lose more games because of that, I'm sure. But I like the challenge of just completely random start and rolling with what you got. So kudos to you for doing that. any other questions that you have, or any other comments that you'd want to add on what you did or what you were thinking, happy to answer those and go back and forth on that with you. Thanks for sharing. This was fun to do. I appreciate the opportunity, and look forward to doing more of these in the future. If you've got a game that you'd like some critique on or some help, I don't care if it's going to Deity. It can be if you're playing Settler and you're just trying to move up one difficulty. Wherever you're at, I'm more than happy to jump on and do some of this critique for you, and help you figure out how to get started a little bit better and how to move up one more in that difficulty level. So if you're interested in doing that, drop a comment down below and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks again, Wolfgang, for the opportunity. This was a lot of fun.